Well, what's up, Cash Crew, and welcome back to another episode of Cash Talks with me, your host. It's Samora Cash, and today I'm so excited. I'm here at Dude IDK Studios, joined by someone that I just have loved and adored and enjoyed getting to meet over the last few months, and probably maybe a little longer at this point, you know?
Yeah, maybe about a year.
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But today I am joined by no other than Dee, everybody.
Hello. Hi.
Hello. I'm so glad that you're here, first
am.
and foremost.
Yeah,
And
thank you for having me.
yes, absolutely. And thank you for just being willing to jump on and get into things that just I feel like are very important and to talk about, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is, I saw you were doing a podcast and I was like, I really want this year to be me getting out of my comfort zone.
Absolutely.
And this is absolutely out of my comfort zone. So I was like, slide in those DMs.
Yes.
Put me on the podcast.
go.
Let's get deep, maybe a little dark, and a whole lot of D.
Yeah, a whole lot of D. We love the D around here, honey. But I'm just so glad and thankful that, that you reached out, that you were willing to step out of your comfort zone. I mean, I think that's such a big thing for people in 2024 this year is like, let me finally let go a little bit, And I think people have gotten to a point where, they're not so trapped in their mind anymore. And I think for so long we have all kind of been in that space, and now saying what you just said, like you're kind of letting yourself kind of fly a little bit.
Absolutely, yeah. And I occasionally like to get trapped in my mind. I think it's like the best way for me to learn who I am.
Yeah.
Because it's an ever evolving mystery to me of who I am.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing that I was talking to Dee before we started recording, I was like, I want this podcast to be impactful. I want people to listen in and gain something either from myself talking or from my special guests that I have with me, just to be able to kind of, dive deep into things that are important to everyone. And I was like, I want you to feel as comfortable and to share as much as you feel comfortable sharing. So thank you for being vulnerable enough to sit here and have some chats with me.
Absolutely. I mean, make me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Make me get into it.
Yes.
Because the Crabtrees, we excel at repression.
Yes.
So
Hey now.
I've been really, I think over the last 2 years, uncovering everything, especially things that have happened in my past that I'm like, why in the world am I who I am today? Why do I do these things? Kind of.
Yes.
And I think to really discover that, you have to get uncomfortable and you have to dig deep on and hit on some things that maybe you don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. And the only way to find real growth is by stepping into uncomfortable territories.
Absolutely.
Like you cannot be getting to another place in your life without first being uncomfortable. So that's a big thing and a big realization to come to for sure. But as we're getting into this and getting started today, I just want you to kind of give everyone a little background about you, like who you are, where you've come from, just kind of things that you know that are important to you. But also I want to mention that Dee is also I'm going to say it, world-renowned chef, okay?
I mean,
chef.
I've had a couple of viral TikToks, but world-renowned.
Hey,
I'm
calling it. I'm calling it.
Yeah.
Mark my words, February 2024, Samora Cash said that, Dee is a world-renowned chef. So just saying.
Thank you, yeah.
But go ahead, get into it. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my life starts, I was born in Arizona, in Yuma, 10 minutes from California, 10 minutes from Mexico, basically. And then pretty much raised in Indiana, cornfields. I mean, my neighbor was literally 2 cornfields away. So the
children of the corn.
boonies of Indiana, yeah, literally Boone County, Indiana. It's the most country hick thing I can ever think of.
Yeah.
And it really shaped who I am. Just being in a rural area and discovering being queer and things like that. But before that happens, I went to culinary school. I met my wife prior to culinary school, really just not sure where I was in my life, getting my general ed courses in college, and she was working at a Buffalo Wild Wings. and got me on at a different Buffalo Wild Wings. And I was line cooking. And, one day I was just like, why am I just frying chicken wings?
Yeah.
I can do so much more with this. This is
Yeah.
silly.
Yeah.
So I went to culinary school. It wasn't my first career choice by any means. And I know I might get some flack for saying this. I don't think that it's really my passion.
Yeah.
Just something that I'm damn good at.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It just comes really natural to me. So from culinary school, I got on to some mom and pop operations and really got my foot into grand openings.
Okay.
I'm a masochist for chaos.
Yeah.
I love the chaoticness of, okay, we're gonna open this restaurant, the doors are gonna flood, we're gonna have 400 people in here, things are gonna go wrong.
Yeah.
What the hell do we do? So I've been in the culinary industry for probably about 8 years now.
Okay.
And have helped with 5 grand openings in that small 8 years.
Yeah.
So maybe hopefully one day it'll be my own grand opening.
Yeah. We're gonna go ahead and say that it's
That'll
going
do
to
it.
be.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
That's kind of where I am right now is where does my career go and what can I do with it?
Yeah. Yeah. So like with being a chef and those sort of things, was that something that just kind of fell in your lap? Was it something that I don't know, like how did you kind of come upon that,
Yeah, like
career?
I mean, quite literally, it was I'm gonna get this job at a fast casual restaurant,
Yeah.
and a lot of things that shaped me as a child was I was very high level competition martial arts.
Okay.
3rd degree black belt in Taekwondo. I went to the Junior
Okay.
Olympics like 5 times. So that strive for perfection and to be the best and to be better. I was like, there's no way I'm just going to be at a Buffalo Wild Wings for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, it's what's the next best thing? How do I keep elevating my cuisine and really dive into this kind of curveball that I was thrown of, okay, I'm good at food. I understand it. And I think for me, like, it's not about how good my food can be. The thing that I love about culinary is that everybody's got to eat.
Right.
Everybody's gotta
Ain't
eat.
that the truth?
So like I've been given this curveball of, hey, you're good at this, do something with it. And I had to find a love in it. I think that was the hardest thing for me was that it was just another job
Right.
in the beginning.
Right.
And now it's not my whole personality. There's
Right.
so much more to
Yeah.
me than being a chef, but it's a big thing. Your friends always are like, cook for me. And
Yeah.
gosh, you must eat great at home and things like that. So yeah, for culinary, it was just kind of thrown in my lap.
Yeah. So do you feel like do you have other creative outlets, or do you feel like, being a chef and cooking, like that kind of allows that creativity to come through? Like, how do you, where do you stand on that?
I'm glad you asked. Because I think, right now I'm really kind of struggling with my creativity. I don't know. I can't remember the last time I was creative. I can't remember the last time that I really let things fly. I mean, I took a lot of art classes in high school. I guess everything I just said was a lie because the last time I remember really being creative was, doing mosaics in art class. And I don't know that I can make a career out of just selling, pretty pieces of glass.
Yeah.
So the creativity part is really something that I'm kind of struggling with and seeing. For me, it's everything's been done before.
Yes.
How do you just put your little spin on it to make it your own and call it your own creativity?
Yeah. Well, and like I feel like that's the thing that gets in the way for a lot of us as creative people is like, if you look at the world around you or you look at your, parameters outside of you, you oftentimes think like, well, they're already doing that, or that person's doing that already. But it's like, you can't allow what someone else is doing to steal from what you want to do, because even though that person might be doing it already, you're still creating your own lane to be able to, I don't know, do it in your own way. Because I feel like there are something specific to you and to me and to people that are creative, that allows that space to just be like, you know what, I'm going to be uniquely me. And do you know how many, I mean, let's talk about it. There are so many podcasts, but at the end of the day, I wasn't going to allow that to stop me from doing my own. You know what I mean? Because I felt like, for me, I had something to say. And so
absolutely.
for you, maybe that's the same thing of like, yeah, there are a lot of people doing this or doing that, but what can I do to put my own creativity on it?
Sure, yeah. And I think for me, it's not even about the creativeness. It's about the joy that food brings to people.
Yeah.
So maybe it's not so much of, look at this fancy plating and I made this foam thing or sugar model. It's what about the food on my plate? It's really gonna speak to somebody.
Yeah.
We live in a shitty world.
Yes, absolutely.
So if I can give somebody a meal to just warm them for a moment,
Yeah.
and take them out of all the bad,
Yeah.
and just be happy with what they're eating, I think that's more important than any creative, fancy new technique that I can put on a plate.
Absolutely. And with that being said, is there a certain type of dish or dessert or dinner, lunch, breakfast, brunch? I don't know. Is there something that you just love to do that's like your signature dish or your signature thing that you just are like, this is my shit right here?
This is probably the hardest question that I get asked, because I love food so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'll start with like one kind of food, and then I'm like, well, and then there's this and this. But I think, being born so close to Mexico, Mexican cuisine is top for me. I just
love Mexican food
did
so
an
much.
extensive tasting interview for a job that hopefully I'll get.
Yes.
That was a 5-course meal, and everything had Mexican influence roots. Elote, tacos. And I think that really started for me as a child. My babysitter was a wonderful Hispanic woman who I absolutely love and adore. But she had me playing with like tortilla dough before Play-Doh. So I think it's just still ingrained in me for so long. But I'm from the Midwest, so you give me a fried pork tenderloin, and I'm also going to just devour that and love it just as much.
Yeah. Well, and like that's the cool thing is like I love that you kind of had that like Mexican dish flair and that sort of thing, because number one, Mexican food is like number
so
one
good.
for me. Oh my gosh. Like I could eat it all day, every day for all my meals. But that's so cool. And I was kind of giggling at the fact that you were like, I had tortillas before Play-Doh. Like, yes, I
She
love
give us
that.
the little tortilla dough balls, maybe child labor. She's like, make this, come on, let's go. Like, roll this into the perfect ball, and then we'll cook it up. And then, a fresh tortilla is like, put a little butter on it, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Simple is the best for me when it comes to that.
I love that. I love that. Well, and switching gears a little bit into getting to something a little different is I kind of wanted to ask you kind of what your experience has been like. Number one, being queer, and number two, like growing up in Indiana and kind of what that, identity, maybe crisis, or just what that has been like for you to kind of grow up in, because I know as I've kind of spoken about previously is like I grew up in the South, so I completely understand kind of that small-minded mentality. So yeah, give us a little bit of background of maybe what your experience has been.
Sure.
Just by growing up in Indiana.
Real switch of the gears.
Real switch.
I think the origins of my queerness were really confusing. Growing up in a very small town, our high school was 7 through 12, and there were probably 1,000 people in the whole school, including teachers and administration.
Wow.
I graduated with, I think, like 120-ish.
Okay.
So it's a very small world, and you don't really get to see a whole lot outside of it. You know, I was born in 1990, pure 90s baby.
Let's go.
And there wasn't a whole lot of representation at that time, especially broadcasting to the cornfields. So when I, put it bluntly, fell in love with my best friend, I was like, what is happening here? I don't understand. And so it's really being queer in a cornfield
Yeah.
is like being in a corn maze. You're just completely lost. You have no idea what's happening. And I think at that moment in my life, things really took a dark turn. I was kind of outed. It was like this new scary thing for Boone County that didn't really happen. Right. I can name a handful of people maybe before me. It was kind of like my era, the kids I grew up with. We were kind of the pioneers.
Yeah.
In my eyes. Yeah. We are the Boone County, gay godmothers and godfathers of Boone County. And it was all, to get right into it.
Yeah.
The girl I fell in love with, her mom found out.
Okay.
And it did not go well. It did not go well. It was it was the first time in my life, and I guess in recent times with my therapist figuring out what was this. I really felt like I was witch hunted at the time. I had to sneak around. If her mother caught us, it was, I almost felt like I was going to be executed. Yeah. It was scary, and it was tough, and it was very much the beginning of me going into survival mode. I know her.
I know her.
And I think that's the biggest thing for me right now is how do I switch gears from, I was 17 back then. I am no longer 17.
No.
But, doing the math, that's half my life.
Yeah.
Of being in survival mode.
Yeah.
So I think right now, 2024 is how do I flip that?
Yeah.
How do I stop surviving and start thriving?
Yeah.
And I really have to just dig into, is it okay that I have been in survival mode?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think like with that, the answer to your question is yes.
Yeah.
Like it is okay that like you have been able to be in survival mode because you have survived.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And that's the important part of it.
And I think it's very valid to be in survival mode as a queer person. I mean, you had Pulse and Club Q and most recently the Next Benedict's case and brutal beatings, fatal beatings, that it's completely valid that queer people have fear.
Yeah.
And from fear comes, how do you survive?
Right. Right. Well, and I think the other thing is, touching on what you had mentioned, like I also came out at 17. And so I am, twins, literally. And never in my life then, growing up and being in the South, like, would I have thought that I would be sitting here at almost 31 years old, like being able to make a difference now? And I think that that's part of what that journey looks like is, we had to be in full blown survival mode at 17 because like you just had to put your armor on and go about your day and hope that you were safe. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But, I mean, this woman, this girl's mom, it felt like she had spies everywhere. Yeah. It's a small community.
Right.
Everybody knows everybody.
Yeah.
And, she'd be getting phone calls. Oh, Danielle's with your daughter here, da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Literally got a phone call from her. I mean, like, I know you're with my daughter right here. You better bring her back to the school. And I'm just like, look, I'm just trying to live here. Yeah. Like, I'm just trying to feel something.
Yes.
And completely shut down, completely blocked. Yeah. And, it was on top of coming into my queerness. 2008 was a year for me.
Right. Wasn't it a year in general?
It was the year I graduated high school.
Yeah.
It was the year I started to really discover who I was sexually.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the year that I had lost a little sister figure to me to a really tragic car accident.
Gotcha.
And my best friend at the time who I started dating, we were all on the soccer team together. So not only was this like, you're taking away a love from me,
Yeah.
but you're taking away my support system, my friendship, somebody who understands what I'm going through right now. And it just became very dark
Yeah.
from there.
Yeah.
Really into my depression. I had previously had shoulder surgery because child athlete.
Right. Soccer, right? Soccer.
Yeah, taekwondo. Yeah.
Oh, taekwondo.
Well,
yeah.
It was a mix of a lot of things.
All the things. Yeah. Yeah.
Really just took a beating as a kid. And got hooked on painkillers. And so drugs became involved. And climbing out of 2008 has been years long.
Yeah.
I mean, I still am trying.
Yeah. Well, and what do you feel like has been a major turning factor for you to say, like, I need something different for my life now at this stage? Like, what has allowed you to kind of grow and evolve into being like, turning away from drugs and turning away from certain things to get to where you're at?
I think for me, I had a great opportunity. I had a scholarship to Purdue University for sports psychology. My career path was totally different. But I ended up medically withdrawing on my own terms to go to rehab.
Gotcha.
So I think that my turning point started way back then.
Yeah.
But it was a very, very slow, very slow,
very
pivot.
turtle pace.
Yeah,
Yes.
very slow pivot. I think, like I said, I lost a dear friend, Natalie, to a car accident. She was like a little sister to me. And one day I just kind of woke up. It was probably 7 months after her passing. And I realized that I had not really grieved or really accepted what had happened. And I think a big factor of that was I had clouded reality by pill after pill after pill.
Yeah.
And I didn't want that. I want to be in reality.
Yeah.
As much as it's like, well, maybe sometimes not in reality.
Yeah.
And I knew that painkillers would be clouding and be a detriment to me.
Yeah.
And I do have to give a big shout out to my high school art teacher who was the first person that really was like, I can see what's happening.
Yeah.
Like, you're at school, you're real messed up.
Yeah.
And we're going to end this now.
Yeah.
And she pretty much saved my life. Made me throw out all my pills. And, I relapsed a few times.
Yeah.
But, gosh, I think it's been about 12 years since my wife and I like to experiment every now and then, but about 12 years since touching a pill.
That is amazing. Like, that is something that you should be truly, truly so proud of, number one, with that. But I also feel like, I grew up in a family full of addiction. I mean, pills, every drug you can think of, alcohol, like literally everything. And I am so thankful every day. Like, I wake up with so much gratitude that for whatever reason, and all the crazy, just disgusting and wild things that I've been through, that never became a reality for me, because it is such a slippery slope as to how that can affect you and get to you. And
absolutely.
You're such a testament to someone who's been through that, but then came out on the other side of it, which is also something that we don't always see. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I've definitely lost some people to drug addiction, and it's nothing. I know what I went through when that happened.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be the reason for somebody else to go through that.
Absolutely. And that's such a amazing wake up call to have, because the both of us, I'm sure, know so many people that are still struggling to get that wake up call.
Absolutely,
and sometimes that never comes. And it's so unfortunate to think and to look at, people, especially that you or I love, that the potential that they have for such an amazing life, but for whatever reason, sometimes you just can't pull yourself up out of it.
Sure. Yeah. And I mean, I think to those people, like, it's okay
Yeah,
to wake up.
absolutely.
I know it's going to be scary.
Yeah.
I've been there.
Yeah.
To be dependent on something, and then just not.
Yeah.
It's a scary process to
Yeah.
go through, but
Yeah.
it is okay to wake up.
Yeah. And that's the other thing. So much of like the culture nowadays is like masking, you know what I mean? Like doing drugs or alcohol.
Yeah.
And there's so many things that no one really wants to feel. And
Right.
because feeling is terrifying, you know what I mean?
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And to know that you actually
yeah.
like you said, you have to wake up and that you have to be like, you know what? I need to feel what I need to feel to be
Yeah.
able to move forward in life, because that cycle repeats itself over and over
yeah.
and over and never ends. And then before you know it, your life is over. You know what I
Right.
mean? And it's so scary to know like that, you know, that wake up call for some people just takes longer, or sometimes just kind of they just don't do
Doesn't
it.
come
Yeah, it
around,
doesn't
yeah.
come around.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I wanted to kind of touch on with you is like, I feel like, you know, me being a gay male and, you know, outside of drag and all of that, like, we don't always have conversations about what it is like for like the lesbian experience,
Yeah.
from like gay male to lesbian. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I feel like we never have that conversation, and I know that it's just never really manifested itself in my life. So another thing that I wanted to kind of ask you is like, how has that like been in like the fact of, again, growing up in Indiana
Yeah.
and like just understanding yourself through kind of coming to terms with who you are and what that has been like? Because I know for gay men it's a little different and we have
Sure.
our own things that we kind of move through, but I
Yeah.
wanted to kind of ask you from like your perspective what that's been like.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't think it's all that different.
Right. Yeah.
I think, you know, in my experience, it's you're a pervert.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're, you know, corrupting.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, it was this woman's daughter. Like you're corrupting her.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't how the world should be. I don't think being gay or being lesbian is that much of a difference
Yes.
in how the world views you.
Right.
You're
Right.
you're queer. You're different.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like you. You know, that's
Yeah.
kind of how it
Yeah.
it was, especially in those rural areas.
Yeah.
And I think it really has nothing to do with us.
Right.
It's all them.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
hate to
Yeah.
separate.
No, it
But-
is. It
but
is
it's
that.
like, you know, get out of the cornfields.
Yes. Yeah.
Go to a drag show.
Yeah.
You know, go to a lesbian bar.
Yeah.
Just talk.
Yeah.
We're all people.
Right.
We're all human beings at the end of the day.
Right.
And we're not that much different.
Right.
Except for who we love.
Right. And I feel like so many people are just scared and terrified of what they have no idea of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why attacking drag, and that's why attacking the queer community, and I mean the list goes on, you know,
Absolutely.
trans people, everything. It's like it's so easy to attack something when you're fearful of it, because chances are you will never go sit at a drag show. You'll probably never go sit down and have
Which
coffee
is a
with a
shame,
queer
because
person.
they're
And that's
fun.
and that's on you. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
right.
at the end of the day, like you're choosing that path for you. And if you don't want to evolve your life to meet I'm talking about some of the most beautiful and amazing people you will ever meet, then that like becomes on you. And
Yeah.
like you're missing out on some of what I think is, I truly believe that some of the most amazing people are queer people. I truly believe
I
that.
think our trials and tribulations have shaped us to just be awe-inspiring
Yeah.
and have these stories to tell. But I think the big thing for queer people, especially those younger generations who are just coming into themselves and maybe are having society tell you,
Yeah.
you know, this is God's country and man and women and all this is, it's not you.
Yeah.
It's them.
Yeah.
Feel sorry for them.
Yeah.
And if feeling sorry isn't enough, educate them. Show them your true self. Show them, you know, there's much more to me than being a lesbian.
Right.
There's more to me than being a chef. There's more to me than being a child athlete.
Yeah.
There's so much to everybody.
Yeah.
You just have to learn, and you
Yeah.
have to get to know people, and you have to want to get to know people.
Right.
And if somebody doesn't want to get to know you because of their own beliefs or how they were raised, screw them.
Right.
That's on them.
Yeah.
You don't need them in your life.
Yeah. And chances are they were never really going to want to change anyways. You know what I mean? They weren't really going to want to like get to know someone that is different from
Yeah.
them. And those differences that, you know, everyone experiences between how we identify and who we are is like, it really could bring us so much closer together
Yeah.
if people chose to look at it from that perspective. But
Absolutely.
the crazy part of it is everyone is so concerned with who we're going to bed with at night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
mean-
that's the only thing they can see. And
Yeah,
it's like that is
that's it.
so, and like you were saying, we are so much more than the people and the views that people have on us. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like it's so much of like, well, I don't want them around my kids. Well, chances are I don't want you around. If I had kids,
Yeah,
I would
I don't
want
want
you
you
around
around.
mine.
Yeah.
You know, like, but it's so difficult, I think, just in the people that I know and that I see post online, because I don't keep up with that many people from Tennessee, but every now and then
Yeah.
I'll see something and I'm like, wow, your mind is so small and in
Yeah.
a place that you will never find true growth. And that is so disheartening, but also not my battle to fight.
Absolutely. And that's the thing is like I've tried to fight these battles, and it is a losing war. Like there's no point in, you know, it doesn't matter how close you've been with this person. If you've known them since you were in diapers, if there comes a time where who you are in the depths of you is a problem for them, no point in fighting it.
Yeah.
Just let it go. Cut your loss.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and speaking on that, like, what has been your experience with family members along the way, as far as like, you know, accepting your queer identity? I know
Yeah.
for me, like, it has been a uphill battle for sure.
Yeah.
And I am thankful that my mother and I have gotten to the place that we're at now.
Sure.
But I kind of wanted to ask you, like, what that experience has been like for you, and if you've had to really fight your way to have certain relationships.
Yeah. I mean, lucky enough, no.
Yeah.
My parents, at the beginning, yeah, like I said, I mean, 2008 was a year for me.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of factors going into, hey, Mom, I smoke a lot of weed. I am an alcoholic.
Yeah.
I've been abusing all the painkillers the doctor has prescribed me. P.S. I fell in love with my best friend. Also, I got a tattoo.
The list goes on. How many
I-
more things would you
I
like me to
dumped
say?
a lot onto her. And so it was kind of something that we just didn't talk about for a while. They knew what was happening. I went off to college, so it was kind of a good separation piece for us. And then, you know, I came back from college and went into an inpatient. So
Yeah,
there was a lot of space
yeah,
that was given to my parents and myself just due to circumstances.
yeah,
But it's really still nothing that we've ever really talked about. And they've just accepted it, and they've been incredibly accepting.
I love that.
I did have, you know, a relationship prior to the one I'm in now that we don't really talk about.
Yeah.
Those are great 3 years of repression for me.
Yeah, we'll keep that where it's at.
Terribly blinded by that relationship and definitely was rocky, but I don't think that had to do with I was in a relationship with a woman. It had to
Yes.
do with the way that relationship affected me and how that woman treated me that I couldn't see and everybody else could.
Right.
But now with my wife, I mean, I have a sister, and I think my wife is my dad's favorite daughter. You know, my sister
like,
and I
"I've been
joke,
replaced.
it
It's
was
fine."
the family dog, and
Yeah.
now it's Sam. And,
Yeah, yeah. Shout out to Sam. Hey.
yeah, my lovely wife. You know, we've not married in the eyes of the government, but whatever.
Yes.
Been together 10 years now. And
What is your secret? Do tell. I want to know,
you know,
right now.
a lot of communication
Yeah.
and a lot of fight. Not fighting,
Yeah.
but you
Fighting
know,
for each other.
we fight for each other, and we've really had to learn each other's quirks and ticks. And, somewhere along the line, we agreed to love each other for all of the weird, lovable, caring crap that we do.
Yeah.
Emphasis on the weird.
Yeah.
and just really accept each other and motivate each other and support each other. And, communicate your needs.
Yeah.
She's not really an open book, and I am.
Yeah.
And sometimes she's like, hey, I just need you to
Like pipe down over there.
and I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
And I think the key to our relationship really is that she is a complete opposite of me.
Yeah.
Very homebody, introverted, and I'm like, hey, Leo over here.
Yeah.
I am
Like, hey, I'm gonna slide into some more DMs and go get on a podcast. Hey.
But she understands me, and the last thing she told me before I left this morning, because she knew how nervous I was, was, you look gay and have fun. And I was
The
like,
fact that that's how she opened it is everything that I
asked
needed.
her. I was like, I kept coming in. I was like, okay, does the cuffing, is that too gay? And then I come in with this denim jacket, and I'm like, is this just too hat backwards? And she's like, look, you're gay.
Yeah.
You look gay,
Yeah.
but most importantly, have fun today. Because I think that's just a big thing in my life that I don't know if I know how to have fun.
Yeah.
I know I'm a fun person.
Yeah. Anytime I'm around you, it's always fun. So I don't know what this
That's
talk
called
is.
masking.
Yeah, come on, mask. Yeah.
It's hard. You growing up as a child athlete, it's like you were critiqued and judged and told to be perfect. So to let loose is something that I'm learning how to do.
Yeah. And maybe this is the beginning of that.
Yeah,
It might be
I'm
starting right
trying.
here on this couch. You never know. But like, also with that being said, like I think having the discipline that you had as a child athlete and all of those things, like maybe that's what was needed in that time. And now this time and this chapter is for you to kind of unravel that a little bit and kind of unwind and find the things that truly make you feel alive and make you feel like, hey, I can just exist and be me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
I think also having a supportive partner like you have, and for the last 10 years, I mean, that's amazing. Holy hell.
She hasn't killed me yet.
You are still alive to tell many stories. But I think that's amazing too, because it could be very easy, as you've experienced, we've all experienced, to be in something that's not good for you and can kind of hold you back in a way. But it seems as if you all have found that common ground to support each other in your own way.
Yeah. I mean, stepping out of my perfection of what I put on myself as a kid is like, it's so new to me.
Yeah.
It's how do I have fun?
Yeah.
How do I relax? I have this beautiful woman telling me have fun.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, I trust you.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, I'm just ever growing.
Yeah.
And trying to figure out. And I think for me, it's really digging into my past, and it's like, why am I so stoic?
Yeah.
Why? I mean, I've literally had people be like, have you been in the military or like police? I'm like, no, just in taekwondo.
Yeah, just that. That's it. That's all.
It. Like,
Well, and like being in that, like, there is that, stoic side to you. There is that like reserved side to you. But I also, and maybe it's your comfortability with me at times or something. And I know we haven't known each other that long, but I feel like I get to see the other side of you that maybe you haven't yet recognized or you're finding, you know what I mean? And it's there. It's clearly there.
Absolutely,
and I feel like, me and you and people that are going through our own personal journeys of being in therapy and unraveling these very dark times for us, it's like allowing for this new kind of newfound light to shine through and to really like allow us to flourish in a brand new way,
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I have to give a whole lot of credit to the atmosphere that we always come across each other is at Hamburger Mary's.
Yes.
And
we love you, Mary's.
Gotta give a huge shout out. It was my first job in Denver, in the big city.
Yeah.
Country girl in the big city. And I get a job at this incredibly unapologetic queer establishment. And it really allowed myself to to fully be not necessarily who I am, but I think who I want to be.
Exactly.
I'm still learning who I am.
Yeah.
But Mary's, it's like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm fun there.
Yeah.
It's
you almost
incredible.
can't not have fun when you're there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
have to be like it. I don't know. There's an energy in that little purple house that allows you to flourish. I don't know. It's wild.
Completely electric and I think freeing.
Mm-hmm.
It's you walk in and nothing else matters.
Yeah.
You're there either, most likely for a drag show.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, I'm going to get my wallet. I'm going to throw my whole wallet at this queen. And I'm going to let loose.
Yeah.
Maybe knock back a couple Jello shots or what have you. But
maybe take one off someone's ass. You never know. There's a lot of things that can happen.
But yeah, I think a big part of me being fun and letting loose is letting go of the responsibilities. So yes, I did work at Mary's, and my ending there was a bit rough, and we can get into that.
Yeah.
But now as a patron, they're still my family.
Yeah.
I spent, I think, about a year with these people, and I love them all.
Yeah.
And so to be able to be in an atmosphere surrounded by people who you love and who love you back.
Yeah.
Is the most fun and freeing for me.
Yeah. And to be able to be in a space, because I've been struggling, I won't lie, with the Denver gay scene. I've been struggling with it a lot. And I think that we're limited to what we have here, I feel like. And Mary's is not one of those places that's limiting.
No.
You know what I mean? Like you truly are allowed to just be you. And like from the staff to the entertainers to the management to everyone, like it's just a space where you just exist for all that you are. I mean, like even the kitchen staff, like, we have like trans staff in the kitchen, and just everything is so inclusive about it, you know, and it allows that space to be like, no matter how inhibited or like reserved I might feel walking in, that all goes out the window. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, it really was eye-opening for me as a queer woman in a male-dominated industry to walk into a kitchen with such a diverse group of people.
Yes.
And loving group of people, and people who have pretty much the same experiences as you, or can, tip of the iceberg, yes, and crossovers of these people get me.
Yeah.
It's a kitchen where I felt like I didn't have to work 10 times harder.
Yes.
Because I'm a woman.
Yeah.
Because I'm queer.
Yeah.
I could just be.
Yeah. And do you feel like you exiting Mary's, like, do you feel like you kind of gained what you needed from that place at the time and felt like you needed to move on to other things? Or like, what do you, what do you feel like was kind of
we can get dark again.
Yeah.
The end of my time at Mary's was the middle of me being back in therapy after a decade. And it also was coinciding with the Club Q shooting. So
gotcha.
40 minutes away, and I thought that I could handle it, but I would lay my head down at night and see my fellow line cooks in a pool of their own blood. And it was, emotions.
Yeah.
It was hard, and it took a huge toll on me. And when my mental health declines, I'm no longer fun. And I revert back to that stoic, we're here to do a job kind of thing.
Almost just very hard.
Extremely hard. And I do still feel like I have a lot of making up to some of the staff at Mary's. Getting back to where we were when I was just a line cook.
Yeah.
I took in the middle of it, I transitioned from being a line cook to the kitchen manager. And that's a whole nother thing of becoming somebody's peer to becoming somebody's superior.
Absolutely.
And so there was a lot of factors with my exit from Hamburger Mary's.
Yes.
But mostly it was my mental health wasn't right.
Yeah.
I don't want to damage these relationships that I cherish so much more than anything.
Yeah.
I've got to get out.
Yeah. And like how I just want to say, number one, like I feel like that is a brave choice on your part to know and to be able to look inward and be like, I need to walk away from this for not only myself, but for everyone else around me. And to take that step forward to say like, I need to do this for me. And I think if nothing else, even with maybe bigger things that may have gone down or whatever, even with all of that, I think it is such a amazing thing within you to say like, I can't do this, you know?
Yeah. I mean, if there's one thing I'm good at,
Yeah.
it's knowing when I've hit my limit.
Yes.
And that's something I'm very proud of.
Yes.
So
you're good. You're getting good with boundaries, or you're good with boundaries.
I think I'm getting good with boundaries.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you know, apart from that 3-year, we don't talk about relationship. I know toxicity.
Yeah.
And I know when things are too toxic. I'm persistent as a mother, so I'm gonna try to push through, and I'm gonna try to make it work. You know,
Yeah.
You get the job done. That's how I was raised.
Yeah.
And you push through, and you never give up, and you never quit.
Yeah.
I've learned to quit.
Yeah.
That's something from my past that was very important.
Yeah.
But now I'm like, sometimes you can. Sometimes you can
there's
quit.
space for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've also been in that space, like where I feel like I was kind of raised in like, don't give up.
Yeah.
Keep going. Give. And what you realize is people take.
Yeah.
And like, there's never that place where you can, for a while, and until you realize it, is like where you can say, you know what, I am going to walk away from this because this is what I need for me. And choosing yourself, which is an ever growing journey that we all are embarking on a lot of times. But like, yeah, when you're raised in that environment of, you know, especially being an athlete or, you know, I was in theater and my choir teacher was
Show
a drill
must go
sergeant.
on.
Yeah. And I'm like, you grow up in that environment of, no, you're here, you don't move, this is where you are. Like, so that becomes what you kind of grow into as an adult.
Yeah.
And when you can kind of say, I am gonna take a step back and walk away.
Completely rebelled
Yeah.
against that
Yeah.
as an adult. I mean, I know it probably doesn't look great on a resume, but I don't stay at a job longer than like a year and a half, 2 years.
Yeah.
If I'm bored, if it's getting toxic, if I'm not learning, if I'm not growing, I'm out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I quit.
Well, and that's how I've kind of felt lately with my drag a little bit, is like, I am not in any capacity doing as many shows as I used to do. Sure. And that has been my own choice because
your shows are...
I've thank you. But that's been my own choice because, like you just said, if it's not serving me anymore, if I'm not gaining anything from it, if I'm not growing from the experience, like I gotta go, you know, like, and if that means I'm not doing as many shows anymore, and then that's what it is. But it's like, I'm no longer in a place where I'm inserting myself in a bar or in an establishment where I'm not appreciated. And I think that that's a little bit of maybe what you've been able to relate to as well, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think, I am such a people pleaser that it's important to remind myself that I can please myself.
Yeah.
I don't have to do this for other people, that it's okay to give myself permission to just do it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it's about you.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean.
Yeah. And the more that we grow and evolve as people, the more that we can learn that every decision we make truly has to be about ourselves. Like,
sure.
I think for so long we can be taught that being selfish is wrong, but it's not, because sometimes
love being
I'm like, sometimes being selfish brings some of the best parts of you to fruition because you're no longer choosing to just do what everyone else wants you to do.
Sure. I mean, it's like, why not be selfish?
Yeah.
This is a very short time.
Yeah.
On earth, and you don't know when it's going to end.
Right.
So do it for you.
Exactly. And one other thing that really stuck out to me as we've been talking, and first of all, I just want to say I've enjoyed this conversation so much. Like, it's just been so I don't know. I love hearing other people's stories and hearing
Yeah.
your journey. And there was one thing that really stuck out to me, and it was when you were talking about teachers, and how you kind of had a teacher that was impactful to you at
Yeah.
a time in your life that you really needed that. And I just want to take a moment to also say, like, when I came out at 17, I just want to say to maybe some of my teachers that might be listening
Yeah.
to this podcast, like, Powell High School had some of the most amazing teachers that I probably will ever know in my life.
Yeah.
And they stood by me at a time when I was truly, I wanted to give up. Like, I
Yeah.
was suicidal when I came out. I was all of these things. And my teachers, I remember so many of, like, I can look at their faces almost sitting here on this couch, and they didn't even go on their lunch break to sit with me
Yeah.
and just allow me to be present. And if you're a teacher out there listening to this, like, know that your job and your work and the things that you do are so important to so many of us, because now we get to be on this side of adulthood and be so grateful and
Yeah.
appreciative of the people that chose to stand by us when our own families couldn't. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? And
absolutely.
so maybe that's something that, I don't know, it just
Yeah.
really stuck
I
out to me
mean,
and resonated when you said that.
Teachers are, they're who raised me, quite literally. And I'm not talking about just the teachers in the high school. My father was a teacher. My mother was a teacher. My sister is a teacher. My aunt is a teacher.
Wow.
I will probably end up teaching culinary at,
Yeah.
at some sort of
Yeah.
retirement
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
You know, teachers are so underappreciated,
Yes.
especially in our country, and underfunded, and arguably the most important people.
Yeah.
I mean, they
So
from
formative. you
yeah,
know?
from kindergarten to college professors, like, we need teachers.
Yes.
We have to have teachers,
Yeah.
and we need to start treating them like they're gods
Yeah.
and goddesses,
Yeah.
because they are.
They
Like,
are.
in my eyes, they are the ultimate. And
Yeah.
and like I said, my art teacher, she not only saved my life when it came to being addicted, but she was one of the first people who I came out to.
Yeah.
And it was, oh, finally.
Yeah.
Now you get it.
You found yourself.
There was no question. There was no disappointment. It was just welcome.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And shout out to Mickers.
Yeah.
I know she has remarried and her name is no longer Mickers,
Yeah.
but in my heart she will always be my hero.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and, like, you know, same for me. Like, shout out to Beth Mooney and to, like, Michelle Cinnamon, and I don't know, just so many amazing teachers that really, and your shirt, you know, like, protect trans kids, like,
Yeah.
that is something that also comes into play when you're a
Absolutely.
teacher, because right now more than ever, just as you said with Next Benedict and the tragic event that happened with that, and, you know, it is some of, you know, queer kids and queer children that really need that right now. They need
Yeah.
that teacher figure. They
Absolutely.
need that person that just says, I see you
Yeah.
and I've got you. And because these events that are happening and these tragedies are a result of what some, not all, but some of these kids going to school is the only protection they truly have,
Absolutely,
you
yeah.
know, and it comes from a teacher's voice and a teacher's presence, you know.
Yeah, and I have to give a huge loving shout out. I know we don't express our emotions that much. My sister is incredible.
Yeah.
And I can't say that it's all because she has lived and grown up with a queer person. I think she's just loving on her own. But I know that when students walk into her classroom,
Yeah.
they're in a safe space.
Yeah.
And she lets them know that
Yeah.
as well. So if there could be more teachers like my sister,
Yeah.
the world would be a little bit safer, a little bit better.
And just more loving
Yeah.
in general, you know. And I truly believe that that's such a special thing that a lot of kids get to experience. And I hope that it gives them the extra hope to keep going. Because
Sure.
if there's one thing that I can say from this couch and us being the ages that we are now is like, it does get better. I know that it
Yeah, it
seems like it
does.
doesn't
Yeah.
and that it will never be okay.
Yeah.
But even on the darkest days as an adult now, it's still better. You know what I mean?
And there'll be dark days.
Yeah.
But all in all, it gets better.
Yeah.
And I think the biggest way that I've been able to do that is a little bit nihilistic.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's the point?
Yeah. Yeah.
You figure out the point for yourself.
Yeah.
And that's for me to make connections,
Yes.
to make people feel welcome,
Yes.
to make people feel safe, to make people have fun, and to just connect with people. In this really daunting world, all we have is each other.
It is. And
Be kind.
Yes, be kind and spread more love
Yeah.
and joy to people because
Give hugs.
Yeah, you never know.
Give your friends forehead kisses.
Literally.
Tell them you love
Make
them.
it weird.
Yeah.
I mean, you just make it weird.
Make
Because-
HR uncomfortable.
Literally.
Test HR.
Yeah, test them. Test them so
Yeah.
much that they change
You
it
want to
to
fire me because I gave you a forehead kiss? You know what?
Yes.
I love you. I'll go
Yes.
find another job and I'll still love you.
Absolutely.
Like it's,
yeah. Yeah.
nothing matters apart from the impact that you make
Yeah.
on other people.
Yeah.
And it's your choice on if you want that to be a loving,
Mm-hmm.
hopeful impact,
Yeah.
or if you just want to sulk and be mad all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Because whether we believe it or not, we're all making an impact in our own way.
Yeah.
And, some of us may go through life and wake up every day and be like, I'm not doing anything. But
Sure.
chances are there's something about every single person on this earth
Yeah.
that you are making a difference and to someone and
Yeah.
to
Even
to
if it's
help give
one
someone hope.
one person.
Yeah.
I've always thought, gosh, I feel like I'm meant for something greater.
Yeah.
And it really, yesterday I talked to this kid who I guess I didn't technically babysit the girl that I was first fell in love with,
Yeah.
but way back then we would hang out while she's babysitting this kid.
Yeah.
He turned 21 yesterday.
Wow.
And we still talk.
That's amazing.
And he's queer. And he came out to me and he reaches out to me for advice. And I am, one of the founding gays of Boone County. At the very least, if I am nothing else in my life.
Yeah. You are the Mount Rushmore.
Put me in the cornfield, baby. I want the next corn maze at Purdue University to just be my face.
Yes. I love that. I love that.
No, I mean, at the very least, I know that I've made a great impact on one little queer boy.
Yes. And if anything, that one person could go on and change someone else's life. And
Yeah.
that's because of the impact you've had. So
Absolutely.
I think that we all are in a space where we just have to focus on the one.
Yeah.
It only takes one.
Just takes one.
Yeah,
And then it just trickles from there.
absolutely. Well, in closing out today, I want to ask you one thing that I ask all of my guests when
Yes,
they're
I'll
here.
come
and-
back.
Yeah. Yes, I'll come back. Of course, because that's what you all want. I'm just kidding. No, I love every single person that has joined me so far. And all of you have such a unique perspective and a light and a joy that you bring. And I just want to make sure that as you are traveling through your own self-discovery journey, that you realize that and know that I see that in you. And that is
Thank you.
something that is so amazing to watch. And I can't wait to see it evolve even more.
Learning how to take compliments.
Yes. Just look at
Thank
me.
you.
It's fine. Drag queens love when you look at them. No, but the one thing I want to close out with is I've asked everyone this is, on this podcast being called Cash Talks and the whole bit, I want to know, like, if you had the money, if you had the means to make like anything happen for you or for someone else in your life, period. Like,
Yeah.
what would that look like for you? Like, what would the cash talking look like for you in your own life?
Sure. Let me be selfish.
Yeah, be it.
I think I was like 11 and a doctor was like, you don't know the meaning of relaxation.
Yeah.
So Cash Talks would be my own private island,
Yeah.
a very comfortable hammock,
Yeah. Ooh,
my
speak
own
my
chef
language.
because I don't want to cook for myself all the time, even though I'm good at it. No. I think ultimately if money wasn't an object, I'd love to own my own food truck.
I love that.
Traveling is a passion for me.
Yeah.
And I don't get to do it. I've got a very demanding job. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of times I don't even have holidays off.
Yeah.
So owning my own food truck and driving around the country and feeding and meeting people
I love that. I love
would
that.
be my ultimate.
Yeah. And I feel like, you know, it's weird to say this, but I feel like some of the things that I have seen people say along just my own life's journey, it's like somewhere along the way, parts of that or all of it becomes a reality.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's part of why I asked that question, is because I think there's always something that we want or aspire to do. And there's something about speaking it into existence that's real.
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
Yeah. But I want to say thank you so much, Dee,
thanks for having me.
joining me today for Cash Talks and lending your voice and being so open and vulnerable about the things that you've gone through, because I truly believe anyone listening today gained something so helpful for their own journey.
Yeah.
So I just want to thank you so much for being here as well.
Well, you're welcome,
Yeah.
and thank you.
Yeah. And lastly, where can people find you on the social medias or just whatever information you might want to give on that?
Yeah. So I don't really do Facebook anymore.
Yeah.
I will
getting
be. I will
boring.
be posting this on Facebook.
Yes.
Let all those Boone Countyans know.
Yes.
Instagram, gosh, I think it's DACRABZ. So DA Crabs.
Yeah. The crabs, right?
It's my, you know, I knew this was going to come up. DA or my Danielle Lett.
Okay.
Crabtree
Okay.
is my last name.
Yeah.
DA Crabs
Yeah.
with a Z because I'm a millennial.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you want Duh Crabs.
The way I've been saying that to everyone, like you're a fucking DJ. Like,
Yeah.
come on, DJ
You're
the
not the
crabs.
first. You're not the first. So yeah, Duh Crabs on Instagram, and then I think TikTok is Chef Crabs.
Chef Crabs, yes. And follow Dee's incredible chef journey. And I'm sure we're going to see so many more amazing things on that front as well. And I'm just so excited to see what 2024 and beyond has in store, because this right here is only the tip of the iceberg.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Let's do it.
Here we go.
Thank you so much again. I want to thank all of you for tuning in today, for listening to another episode of Cash Talks. I hope that you gained something, that you realize that your truth and who you are and the life that you live is truly meaningful in its own way. And I can't wait to continue to see so many of you out there flourish and be who you are, because trust and believe it always, always gets better. Thank you so much to Dude IDK Creative for allowing us to always be here and spread love and light. And I can't wait to be back and chat with you again soon. We love you. See you soon.
Bye.